I'm James, and this is Figure It Out with James. Today we're working on a Porter Cable PCB270TS 10-inch table saw. Now, the problem I have with mine is that the blade is not moving up. It will move down fine, but the blade is not coming back up. I've already tried cleaning it. I actually tried shooting this video previously. No good, it's still not coming up, and actually I just wasted like 3 hours trying to do that. Today we're gonna open it back up again, get inside, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. I'm literally gonna take what I think is the problem apart and try to get it tightened up. First you wanna do is remove these 6 bolts or screws, whichever way you call them. Now, when you're removing hardware, I always think it's a good idea to take a picture of what you're taking apart so you know where the pieces go, but at least group them together so that you don't lose them. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, but my dust port has seen better days, and I've got it currently zip tied on here, so I'm just going to cut this off. And next, actually, probably what we want to do is go ahead and engage the brake on the bottom. This does have a mobile base, so that doesn't move, and there's actually 4 bolts that hold this entire top assembly off of the stand. Disengage the wheels or the casters so it doesn't move on you. We're going to take a 13mm socket, and then we're going to undo all 4 of these bolts. Actually, I'm going to get an extension for this. Okay, this one over here, we're going to have to get a shorter socket due to the wiring housing. Actually, this one, probably just want to get this one with a wrench. See how close this is? There's not really enough room to get that out of there. The reason why I'm using an extension is I can kind of pull it away from the side of the saw body so it doesn't interfere with it. Once you've got all 4 bolts out, we're going to move this top and we're going to put it on the workbench. And to get this on the workbench, I'm going to use the assistance of some straps. Because this sucker is heavy, I would not suggest trying to lift this thing all by yourself. So watch me squirm. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 2 end nuts, pull the handles off, and start unscrewing this. Again, 13mm socket. Make sure before you put these handles back on that you want to tighten up. There's a nut back here, and you put a wrench here and tighten it up that way. That way these don't fall off. This nut should come off freely. If it doesn't, it is a 19mm wrench and it is reverse thread. Okay, for here, there's 2 Allen key bolts. They are metric. I believe they are 5mm. There are 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 2 screws underneath this housing. So we're going to take this housing off. Right here on the housing, we'll unscrew here, here, and here. Here's the 2 screws I was talking about. There's 1 here and 1 here. And these go into this, the front of this casing. The 6 screws. Now we've got all the screws on the front casing. We've got these. You do not need to remove this one. This is actually connected here. Now if you wanted to remove this, unscrew all of this and pull this out. And I think all you have to do is unscrew here, here, and here, and be able to get this out. I'm just going to let this hang down. This right here is what controls the tilt of the blade, and this actually moves this way as the blade moves that way. And this right here controls the height adjustment for the blade. And looking down in here, a screw that's connected down in here. I imagine there's another gear that's a 45 degree, I don't even know what it's called, but it's a 45 degree gear that spins, and there's another 45 degree gear that's on the end of the screw shaft that when this gear engages that, it spins the screw, causing this entire piece right here where the motor is, causes the motor to go up and down, and it rides on these steel rods. There's one here and there's one down at the bottom. And obviously the arbor is on here too, and they're connected by a short belt. So we've got to remove this. Looks like more Allen screws. I bet they're 5mm. Yes, they are. There's a plate that goes underneath. This is to help, I assume, give it some rigidity. So as this is going like this, I'd imagine this probably wants to move a little bit, so that's what that plate is there for. Where I need to really get to is right in here. Now in order to get to that, I'm thinking what I need to do is remove this section here, and also we're gonna have to get down in here and actually probably pull this motor out. And unfortunately, it looks like the screw's going that way. So I'm gonna see if I can leave this on and not remove this, and hopefully we can get this motor moved out. But I'm thinking I'm gonna have to take the side off too. Yep, I'm gonna have to take the side off. So let's just take the side off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove, looks like 2 screws here. Looks like we've got some ground connections we're trying to get out. Do not lose the star washer. The motor is connected by a belt there, so I'm thinking what I can do is just pull out the mounting bolts, and it should slide out and should give me a little more clearance to get in here. And they are indeed 6. So the mounting bolts for the motor are 6mm, and there are 4 of these bolts. Now a good thing to do while we have it in this state is probably to take and blow out these threads before we put the belt back on. Same thing for the motor too. I don't know if you can see, but it's toothed too. It's got ridges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hand crank back on, and I'm going to send the blade up that way if it will let me. There's 2 45-degree gears, or sprockets, whatever you want to call them, not really sure what they're called, that meet right there. And I think when gravity is in play, I think it's not making contact, so there might be some spacers involved that keeps it up against that. I've got to get this mounting out, but this mounting has these 4 bolts that hold the steel rods, and this is what this carriage actually rides up and down on, and there's these bearings. It also rides on this screw, and there's a retaining clip right here that catches this thread. And I'm actually starting to wonder if maybe that's the problem, but I can't really get to that clip. I could probably get a small screwdriver in there to do it, or one of those L-shaped screwdrivers. So actually, maybe instead of taking this whole thing apart, I'm going to try tightening up this clip and then tightening the set screws for these gears. and making sure that they're hitting properly. So I'm going to bring the carriage all the way down. There's actually 2 screws, and I can't even tell what kind of, I don't even think it is a screw. Never mind, I think we're just going to take the whole thing out. Probably, again, 6 millimeter. And for this purpose, I think I'm going to bring it probably to right there so that it's not all the way up, so I can kind of push this forward a little bit so that I can pull this entire assembly out. Woo! It's on tight. If anybody could show me a cool trick to extending the handle of an Allen wrench, that'd be awesome. There we go. I don't have a piece of pipe or anything that'll fit that, so that won't really work for me. Okay, so now before I remove the other ones, what you want to do is make sure that we unscrew the mounting on this end right here. I probably can't even see it. The mounting, there's a lock nut and a regular nut. Sorry, the sun's starting to set, so it doesn't look fantastic. There's a lock nut and a regular nut right here that we need to remove, because I do not want this piece, the weight of it, to bend this, because otherwise it's not going to move up and down freely. Wrench, and hold this other nut. This entire assembly spins. There we go. Hold the handle at the top, keep this from spinning, and pull off the rest of the hardware. Okay, sorry for the crappy angle. My camera mount broke, unfortunately, but we've got the washer and nut and lock nut that goes on the screw shaft. Now we're going to finish removing the other 2 6 millimeter bolts that are on these steel shafts. Oh, you know what we forgot? The riving knife is still in. Make sure you remove the blade and the riving knife before doing this. Okay, the 4 bolts are removed. We've removed the nuts on the end of the screw, and now I've removed the steel rods. These are the gears in question. I wonder if this isn't going far enough down, and I think when this moves because of gravity, I think this is sitting further down this way. And I think that's probably why it's having such a hard problem. You can see they're engaging just fine here, but I feel like when gravity is in play, I think that's when it's having an issue. But it doesn't look like it's supposed to go any further, so I'm wondering if this is actually supposed to be further down, which if that's the case, we can adjust that here. This should adjust how far down this gear goes, because I'm wondering if that's what's happening. Yeah, there's the problem. So a lot of you guys who are having problems with your table saw not tilting back up, here's the issue. Right there. We just need to adjust this nut on top so that this goes further down so it makes contact. So what I'll do is clean this up really good and make sure that this clip up here seems to be operating properly. And I'll tighten this nut, and that's probably all it was, and I didn't even need to take this whole thing apart. But now that I can actually see what's going on, it literally has to be this right here. If I loosen this nut, there is a spring underneath there, and it should push down more and make contact with this other gear at the bottom. So let me clean this up, lube it up, and get this put back together, and then we'll adjust this so that it makes better contact. Okay, another thing to point out is that on these, one has flats on both sides and the other one has a flat and a round. The round part goes on the bottom. You can kind of tell because the contour on the casting here. So when you put your rods back in, if you did take it apart like I did, make sure that your flat and round goes on the bottom and the double flats go on top. And before I really tighten these down all the way, what I want to do is make sure that this thing travels up and down okay. Because if I tighten these down and start moving up and down, it may bind, because these rods need to be pretty much parallel for this carriage to move up and down. So the best thing to do is just kind of finger tighten them and move it up, and then just move it down again. You want to make sure you just tighten the crap out of these. Just putting this lock nut on. Right at the top, right here on the parts list, there's a wave washer, and I think what happened to mine is it is completely worn out. So when every once in a while this isn't tracking because it's lifting, so you can tell, and it's not making contact with the bottom gear. And this wave washer is supposed to keep tension down so that it tracks easily, but it is spring steel and it's probably just worn out. The only way to fix it would be to pull this out and replace it. What I did do is I loosened this nut here, and upon loosening this nut I was able to spin this shaft. Now the way to loosen this is you put a wrench here, a wrench up here, and draw them either away or together, but to loosen up this nut. And then I was able to bring this down far enough to where I think if it's gonna ride against, it'll just get closer and closer to that, but eventually it's gonna wear this out. Then really there should be a spring there of some kind to kind of help with the force on that, but unfortunately that's not something I can do unless I can get a replacement part for that. If you look at the manual, OJB2 right there, and there's two of them. So that OJB2 is a wave washer, and there's two of them. For the time being, I'm going to move this part down just a little bit more so that if that does pop up a little bit, it's going to kind of hit the threads at the bottom here. Honestly, I really don't know. It's probably down further than I really want it to be honest. A little less play, but I'll leave it right there because I don't want to tighten that up too much. But now I know what part I need. And I should be able to order it. Just seems like there'd be a better alternative than a wave washer. I don't know, maybe that's the best option. So I don't know what is the best option in this situation. So here I'm tightening up the lock nut. The nut here. Oh, press it. That's pretty tight. Okay, so this guy's not gonna move now. We're moving freely. That wave washer is flipping around in there like a crazy man. Everything's locked in place. It's time to put the motor back in. Let's see. We'll halfway put this front thing along and set this back down on its bottom and see if I can get the blade to come up and down on its own before we put this stuff back on. So, moment of truth. Taking the hand crank and putting it on the shaft. The angle controls are still out of there, so it's just kind of moving around freely, but it appears to be working. It is raising. But my theory was right that one gear was not making enough contact, and it's engaging fully now. So, if you have a problem with your table saw, the issue would be the wavy washers. And if you get those replaced, that should take care of it, and you shouldn't have to take apart the entire table saw like I did. Okay, so now that we know that the blade raises and lowers, time to put it all back together. Okay, now it's on just pulling this puppy off, put it back on the stand, bolt it in, slap a blade in it, and we should be good to go. So, if you own the Porter Cable PCB270TS table saw, your problem could be your wavy washers. OJB2, and it is called a wave washer, and it requires 2 of them. In the meantime, if you need to get back to work, all you need to do is to adjust that shaft just a little bit more and bring it down just a little bit. So thanks for watching and have a great time.